Hamptonians, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Chandra Turner Jones. I'm a proud Hamptonian, member of Quintessence 3, class of 1998, and board member for NHAA. Tonight, you'll spend the next hour and 15 minutes or so hearing from your candidates for the National Hampton Alumni Association leadership. To be respectful of everyone's time, we will end at about 9:15 or so. We thank you so much for joining us. You will get an opportunity to hear from each of the candidates. You'll get an opportunity to ask questions, and we already have some questions that have been pre-selected. So for the last 4 years, we've made great strides as an alumni association under President Gina Pemberton's leadership. She's here with us tonight to share a few words, so I will turn it over to her now to share some remarks, and then I'll see you back on the other side shortly. Madam President, Gina Pemberton.
All right. Thank you so much, Chandra. Appreciate you taking the time to moderate today's town hall and for your service to our board over the past almost 4 years. Thank you. Hello, Hamptonians. I'm so happy to have us pulled together here to talk a little bit more about the NHAA, the election process, as well as for us all to hear from our candidates for the various positions that are open on the board. One of the first things I wanted to make sure I got across to everyone is just level setting what the role of NHA is, of our alumni association. And if you refer to our bylaws, which are on the NHAAinc.org website, you'll see that we have 3 purposes that we are tasked with as NHAA. The first is to raise money for Hampton University. And the second is to help recruit students to attend Hampton University. And the last is to work cooperatively with the university personnel to develop and implement programs that will benefit Hampton and NHAA Inc. And so I share all that just so that we can level set as we hear from these candidates and their responses to your questions, as well as the questions that Chandra has. And you can level set that against what the role is of NHAA and what their role that they may be running for and how it applies. On Friday, there was a message that got sent out by myself and Brent Martin from Hampton University's Alumni Affairs and Office of Development. And it talked about the election process. So I just want to share an update as it relates to that as well. When we started off the election on March 1st, we shared that classes 1990 from emeritus to 1990 would receive mail paper ballots. And anyone that graduated after 1990 would receive electronic ballots. What we've discovered is there was an error that happened with the vendor, and they did not send out all of the paper ballots on that February 25th that they should have sent them out. So with that, on March 8th, when we had the meeting with the vendor, the vendor sent out email ballots to everyone, regardless of what class year you were. So everyone from emeritus until 2021 should have received a ballot via email if you have an email address on file. If you do not have an email address on file, within the email that was sent on Friday gives instructions on how to get an email added to your account by contacting the Office of Alumni Affairs. The paper ballots are still they were sent out on Friday to everyone as well, based on what the guidelines were before. And so with that, the board got together and we had an emergency vote where we voted to extend the deadline for the election results. So the results of the election will end on April 15th at 11:59 p.m. And so any ballots that get mailed in or are done online need to be received by the vendor by April 15th. So no postmarked April 15th, only received by that date. We will then share the results on April 20th via our social media channels. All of the candidates will get the results on April 19th. So that's the biggest update as it relates with the election process. We do have a record number of eligible voters this year. So it is really important that we want to make sure that everyone gets their voice heard and they're able to vote for the candidate that they would like to vote for. So with that, I think that's all I had to share. I'm really looking forward to hearing more from our candidates. I will pass it back to Chandra Turner-Jones.
Thank you so much, Madam President, for those remarks. Again, Hamptonians, thank you so much for joining us. If you were joining us a little bit late, I wanted to just let you know that we'll spend the next hour or so listening to your candidates for the leadership board of the NHAA. I'm going to take you through their bios briefly, and we'll start with the Office of President. I will end with the Office of National Treasurer, and then we will go right into pre-submitted questions. You will also have the opportunity to ask a question or two. We want to be respectful of your time. So as you're submitting questions, keep in mind that we will end at around 9:15 or so. So again, thank you for joining us. The two candidates for the national officer position of president of the NHAA are Michelle Taylor and Willie Williams Jr. We'll start with ladies first. Michelle Taylor is a proud graduate of the class of '87, Essence. She received her Bachelor of Arts in Mass Media, and she holds a MS in Human Resources Management. She also holds her MBA from the Keller Graduate School of Management. She is a relationship manager currently, and she has local experience as the Brooklyn chapter past president, and she's a current member of the Atlanta chapter. If given the opportunity to lead the NHAA, her platform is the restoration of back to basics to reclaim our standard of excellence. She notes that she's grown concerned regarding the direction of the association, university, and leadership in recent years. And as we promote being the best historically Black college and university, she wants to work hard to restore that. Thank you for joining us, Michelle Taylor. Next is Willie Williams Jr. He is class of 1983, Radiance. He received his BS in finance from our dear home by the sea. He is retired, and his national experience includes being an executive board member from 2018 through 2022, and the nominations chair from 2018 to 2021. Local experience and regional experience includes being the first vice president of the Mid-Atlantic region from 2012 through 2022, and the Northern Virginia chapter president from 2014 to 2018. His vision for NHAA is threefold. One, to increase the upward spiral of the alumni giving participation rate, increase NHAA local chapter giving to the university during reunion weekend, and embrace the relationship with the university to protect the great heritage of our beloved alma mater. Thank you for joining us, Willie Williams. Next is your slate for the national officer position of first vice president. We have candidate April Broadway, class of 1988, Ogre 6. She received her BA from Hampton University and her master's from Appalachian State University. She is currently an educational consultant. She has national experience in the way of national parliamentarian from 2018 through current, national bylaw and SOP committee chair from 2018 through current, the National Protocol Co-Chair from 2012 through 2018, and the Biennial Conference Chair from 2014 through 2020. So 2014 and 2020. Her regional experience includes the North Central Regional President from 2010 through 2016, North Central Regional Vice President from 2012 through 2016, the North Central Regional Parliamentarian from 28 through 2016, and her chapter experience includes President of the Winston-Salem chapter, chapter Vice President for Winston-Salem chapter, and the chapter secretary for the Winston-Salem chapter. She says, as a proud Hampton alum, my desire is to share our Hampton experience with everyone. After diligently serving in leadership roles at both the chapter and national levels, I understand the importance and value of telling our Hampton story and celebrating our rich history. Thank you for joining us, April. Candidate number 2 is Glenda Gilchrist Pinkett, class of 91, Ogre 7. She received her BS in biology, and she did graduate coursework from the University of Delaware and Villanova University. She is an educator. She has national experience from 2018 to 2020 as the Board of Director, Regional President's Council, 2014, 2016, 2018. She attended biennial conferences, 2015 through 2022 alumni council meetings, and the 2016 Merit Award winner. Her regional experience includes regional president from 2018 through 2020, the 2013 conference planning committee for the NAR, 2014 and 2017 attending those conference meetings, and the logistics chairperson for the 60th NAR conference. Her chapter experience includes being a chapter member of the Wilmington, Delaware chapter for 23 years, vice president from 2012 through president, chairperson of a number of different events in that chapter, and she is actively involved and participating in all chapter activities. She wants NHAA to continue to be a community that supports one another, allowing us to connect with alumni to create a sense of unity and inclusion. All right. And then that was your slate for the office of First Vice President. Tonight, you'll also hear from the National Officer position, Vice President of the Eastern Regions. There's one candidate for that position, and that's Kelly Boyer. She is class of 91, Ogre 7. She received her BS in marketing from Hampton, obviously, and her master's in human resources management. She is the director of human resources for Biologics Consulting Group, and she has national experience as the class leader from 2010 through 2021. She has regional experience as the president of the Mid-Atlantic region from 2018 through 2022, first vice president of the Mid-Atlantic region from 2014 through 2018, and her chapter experience includes being president of the Northern Virginia chapter from 2012 through 2014, chair of the scholarships committee for the Northern Virginia chapter from 2010 through 2012. She is a current member of the Northern Virginia chapter and a former member of the Richmond, Virginia and Montgomery, Alabama chapters. Her vision is to involve the greatest possible number of alumni within NHAA, simply put. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, Kelly Boyer. And last but not least, tonight you will hear from your candidate for treasurer, Dean Green, class of 83. He holds a BS in finance from our dear home by the sea, and he is a certified professional accountant. He is currently a senior accountant for the Department of Justice. His national experience includes being the treasurer for the Alumni Association from 2014 through 2016. Regional experience is that he is the current treasurer for the North Atlantic region, and his chapter experience includes the current treasurer for the Philadelphia chapter. and the past treasurer for that chapter, and the chapter president and financial secretary. He sums it up very briefly to say, I'm running for the office of treasurer of NHAA to increase the awareness of sound fiduciary responsibility and IRS compliance to all regional and local chapters of the NHAA. I encourage everybody that is tuning in tonight to visit the NHAA website so that you can see the full vision articulated by each of your candidates. So with that, why don't we go to our first question, please? I am not seeing it on the screen. So with that, why don't we go to I'm going to have the first question, please. Okay. So why don't I pose this question for our pre-submitted questions first? And remember, everybody who is on, you may submit a question into the chat and we will gladly ask it. We will start with the office of president. As a reminder, that is your candidate, Michelle Taylor, and your candidate, Willie Williams, Jr. Michelle and Willie, we'll start with ladies first. Michelle, please share why you would be the obvious choice for president of the National Hampton Alumni Association. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Moderator. I believe my background is very diverse. In addition to what you read with my bio, I have been successful leading various groups, either from being co-leader with my class for our upcoming 35th class reunion, which is in May, also being the treasurer of my class since 2012. One more degree that I'm going to be really proud to toot my horn on is when I obtained my doctorate of business administration. I believe as candidate for this office of president for the National Hampton Alumni Association, one needs to possess strong management skills, leadership, strong financial background. I am very confident that I have these characteristics to hold that position. I am a change agent, and I am looking to make history as the next president of the National Hampton Alumni Association while we bring in a university president. Madam Moderator, I yield back to you.
Thank you so much. That is a wonderful vision, and we appreciate you articulating that. Next to Willie Williams, Jr. Same question, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Moderator. I think the thing that uniquely qualifies me to be president of the NHAA is my experience. My experience at the chapter level, at the region level, and most recently, the past 8 years, my experience at the national level. That experience at the national level has afforded me the opportunity to observe both the executive board and how it operates and the university administration. And I believe that that experience uniquely qualifies me to be able to navigate the challenges for both on behalf of our alumni. I am a business finance major. I have an MBA from Arizona State University. So from a business perspective, I understand project performance and schedules. And most importantly, is that I have the ability to connect and bring our young alumni on board into this organization. I've demonstrated that at the chapter level, and that's going to be one of my major focus areas, as I indicated in my vision. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you very much for your answer on that. Next, we will move to the position of first vice president. As a reminder, that is candidate April Broadway and candidate Glenda Gilchrist Pinkett. Both of you talk about the Hampton experience and the Hampton community. Can you share in your own words what that means to you and how in this particular position you will help to cultivate the Hampton experience for all alumni and the Hampton community for all alumni? We'll start with April first, please.
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. Good afternoon, well, good evening or good afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in, to all of the Hamptonians. I love the question. because I'm always talking about sharing the Hampton story. And that story includes experiences as well as community. You can't have one without the other when you start to talk about Hampton University. And in this role, I get to make sure that we are recognizing people's experiences and their community connections, because being the liaison for the class leaders, we get all of those things. We get to share all of that great information. But most importantly, in my role, I also get to explain all about my experience at the different levels and try to engage even more alum. Of course, as I've said on several other forums, my target is to always make sure that we are being inclusive. And that is from the newest alum to our most seasoned alum. And being that liaison for the class leaders, that gives me that opportunity. Um, we have the opportunity time and time again when we're out in our communities and our various homes, because it's very, very hard to be in any community and not encounter a Hamptonian. And the one thing that we always bond on is our unique experiences that we've had at the university. And so that is how we start to cultivate, especially our young alums. They have those great experiences. They may not be ready to share them just yet, but my job is to get them involved, keep them connected to the university, and sharing those experiences. Thank you.
Thank you very much, April. Glenda, same question.
I'm asking you to repeat the question.
Both of you have talked about the Hampton experience and the Hampton community. In your roles, how would you cultivate both the Hampton experience and the Hampton community to take it to another level for our alumni?
Well, Hampton University is rich in traditions, these connections, and it creates this family and, as you said, community environment. We learned about the Hampton Hugs and how the traditions of opportunities for growth within your academic, social, and emotional, as all of these opportunities created experiences as we grow. And so the desire to share those experiences and cultivate the next generation of students to attend Hampton creates that Hampton love and community of sharing.
Thank you so much, Glenda. And again, thank you, April, for sharing your thoughts on our Hampton experience and Hampton community. Next, I will turn it to the Office of the Vice President of the Eastern Region. Kelly Boyer is running unopposed, but I would like for her to say a few words. I'll ask your question in just a second. We did have a question come into the chat, and I want the questioner to know that we have recognized that, and we will get to that shortly after our treasurer has a few words to share. Kelly, your question is, you've been involved in NHAA and in the Alumni Association for a long time since graduation. You've made a commitment to give back to the university that has given you so much. How would you inspire that service in others across the Eastern regions that you would lead so that they feel just as strongly about giving back to the university that's given them so much?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I joined my first alumni chapter right after graduation, Montgomery, Alabama, when I moved back home to go to grad school. And for me, thinking back to the question with the first vice presidents, that Hampton experience is something I want to share with other alum. The love that we share, getting out, talking to the students. I have learned recently from a few college fairs that I'm now talking to parents instead of students, but letting them know about our experience, what you will get at Hampton, all of the different programs that we have. I love talking to non-Hamptonians to say, you know, we have an equestrian program, and we have lacrosse, and we have diving, and we have sailing. We have all of those things that you can get into that may not be found at any typical university. And just kind of sharing that spirit and that love, and talking about our girls' soccer, and of course, all of our academic programs. That's what I want to share with the alumni, so that they want to go out and share the same love that I have for our university.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. This last question is for the office of treasurer. Wayne Green is running unopposed. Wayne, you have served in the treasurer position at both the national and regional and chapter levels. Can you tell us about your learnings in those positions and why you are best suited to serve as treasurer at the national level, and how you will benefit the alumni in that position? Okay, no problem. We will come back to him. All right. So this is actually a question from the audience for both the president and vice president candidates. We'll start with president on this one. Willie and Michelle, what role will young alumni play on your board if you win the office? We'll start with Willie first. If you could articulate the role of the young alumni under your leadership as NHAA president.
Yes, thanks, Madam Moderator. I place a high premium on young alumni participation in a Williams administration. The recording secretary is a young alumni from my home chapter, the Northern Virginia chapter. And I have reached out to the young alum within that chapter as president and since, to ensure that they stayed involved and they had the opportunities to grow within the organization and learn how the organization operates. So specifically, within a administration that I would head up, there would be a direct relationship or direct communication line between me and the Hampton University Young Alumni Council. And I would use that as a feedback mechanism to ensure that young alumni concerns are brought to the forefront. I would also use that as an education process so that they can understand how the larger organization operates, because one day they will be leading this organization.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. We will go next to Michelle. Michelle, same question. What role will the young alumni play on your board when you serve as the National Hampton Alumni Association president, if you're given the honor?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. If given the honor to be your next president of the National Hampton Alumni Association, the young alum will play a vital role. I would like to tap them as soon as they graduate, walk across that stage, and encourage them. We will have town hall meetings, encourage them to be active in their local chapters, visit the local chapters, make a decision. You know, so when they come to that first 5-year reunion, it's
Did we lose her?
communication open, and that somebody paid it forward for you. You need to pay it forward. They're the lifeline of our great legacy here at Hampton. I yield back to you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you very much. Absolutely the lifeline. Next, we'll go to our VP candidates. We will start with Glenda for this question. How will you keep the young alum involved and bridge the communication gap between them and the older alumni?
Well, communication is key to all activities with the young alumni, again, is reaching out to make connections with them. People feel the desire to be engaged when they feel as though they have some connections and the ability to be heard, and people want to be listened to. So what is it that the young alumni need? What is it that they are feeling, why they don't want to have connections with Hampton? I mean, we're in a pivotal state. We've had the same leadership for almost 40 years. And so new leadership may change and may bring some different dynamics to how the Alumni Association operates, as well as how young alumni are perceived within the university. So how I would engage them would be to make more connections with the Eastern and Western region vice presidents, to reach out to their regions and chapter presidents, to create membership drives, to encourage these young alumni to at least be knowledgeable, because once we increase the communication, that would perpetuate them to become more involved.
Thank you very much. And April, same question.
Thank you so much. I love this question. Let me start by saying that, because in the role of the first vice president, I get a captive audience. Every time we have a class leaders meeting, that means all classes from youngest to oldest, I have a captive audience. And one thing about me, once I have you, it's hard for me to let you go. And that will give an opportunity for me to also get feedback on, I've heard people talk about communications, but I may be able to, and I'll use you for an example, Madam Moderator. You might like for me to text, but maybe with the young alum group, those that are under 10 years out, maybe they communicate on, I think it's called WhatsApp. I don't know. It's probably old, but I will guarantee you that within the first 90 days, I will have a full understanding of how they like to give and receive information. One of the things that I've talked about early on is I would love to have fireside chats with groups that have been out 10 years or less, to get an understanding about what information do they need from the Alumni Association and what information can they give to us. They are the commodity. Until we tap them a little bit better, we're not winning. We're not holding up to that standard of excellence. So it's going to be very, very important to me in this role to make sure that I gain a small, it doesn't have to be a lot, because if I can get at least 5 of those classes, I will feel that I've had some success, because what I know is that fire catches. And once we tap into that, we'll be able to keep kindling those fires.
Thank you very much. I've just been told that the candidate for treasurer is having audio issues. So for the audience, I would invite you to go to the NHAA website and look at his bio along with his vision. He's articulated what he plans to do as national treasurer. So unfortunately, we won't be able to hear from him just yet. And also I wanted to remind the group that Siani Cabello, your recording secretary candidate, was unable to join us tonight, but her bio, along with all of her information, is also on the website. She had a commitment that she could not move. We do have another question that's come in, and we'll start with the Office of Presidents, and then we will go to the President of the Eastern Regions to hear from her. The question is, candidates for president, what initiatives do you plan to have to bridge all of the chapters together under your leadership? And Michelle, we will start with you. What initiatives do you have to plan to have all the chapters bridged together under your leadership?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Well, the first phase of my platform is alumni engagement. and giving. Encourage all alumni members, whether out 1 year out or out of the university for 50 years. Every alumni member will be counted, will be considered important, and they're valued in everything, regardless of whatever donation they give. Constant communication with them and encouraging them to participate. We have to keep our legacy alive, and it only will continue with everyone being involved, hearing everyone's voice, and everybody brings value to the table. Town hall meetings, again, excellent communication, visiting local chapters and everything, getting involved on every level with all the alumni members of the association, encouraging them to be active and also pay their dues. I yield back to you, Madam Coordinator.
Absolutely. Very simple, but very powerful. And Willie, can you share your thoughts on that? How do you plan to bridge all of the chapters together under your leadership?
Well, first of all, let me say that our alumni chapters are doing a great job across the board in fundraising activities and in membership. So what I think that we can do at the national level to assist them is to create a repository of those positive ideas and those best business practices so that higher performing chapters can share that with lesser productive chapters. Also, the form I would use to do that is the president should be meeting with, I believe, the chapter presidents on a periodic basis to get their concerns. When we have our alumni council meetings, there's a set agenda and the chapter presidents are there, they're present, they participate, but they don't have a forum to go one-on-one with the president to identify things that from a chapter perspective that are concerns of theirs that maybe we at the national level can provide some assistance. So those are two of the major things. Cross-talk and communication amongst ourselves, and then the sharing of those best practices to increase our productivity as an entire association. I yield back.
Thank you very much. The cross sharing will be important. Thank you. All right, we'd like to hear the same about the same question from the president of the Eastern Regions, Kelly Boyer. What will you do under your leadership to bridge the chapters in the Eastern Regions together?
Thank you. This is actually a great question. Right now, serving as the president of the Mid-Atlantic region, we have 13 chapters and 7 of them are within a 30-minute radius of each other. So we often here in the DMV do joint activities or at least support the activities of the other chapters. I'd like to see more of the same activity happening within all of the chapters in the region. The Eastern region encompasses the Mid-Atlantic, North Carolina, and Southeast regions. We already do things, from the university as a, day of giving, but I'd like to see more of those volunteerism type activities happening region-wide within all of the different chapters. I'd like to see us focus on doing more networking and business type events that focus on our young alumni so that they can reach more of the seasoned alumni to give them opportunities. It might be employment opportunities or community activities. And I'd like to see more joint student recruitment activities from all the chapters and regions.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the spirit of togetherness in that question. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your insights. This is for the Office of President. We'll start with Willie on this one. Willie, for this position, what does success look like for you? And what would you like your legacy to be, considering that we're coming off of 4 years under President Gina Pemberton? She's left a strong legacy and she's made some enhancements for our alumni base, bringing us together and closer to a number of different things as it relates to her goal. What does that look like for you? What does success look like for you when you sit back 4 years later and reflect on your presidency? And what do you want your legacy to be?
So I'm going to address what I think success will look like after 4 years. Um, I have a different perspective on legacy because I believe that all of us that get elected, we're caretakers for a period of time. So if we go into this job thinking we're going to leave a legacy, we're going in it for the wrong reasons. We are caretakers of this organization, which will be here 100 years after us. So what does success look like for me after 4 years? One only needs to look at my three areas of in my vision. Alumni participation rates, they've gone from 14% to currently around the mid 33% range, mid 30% range. So at the end of my 4 years, I would like to be for us to be solidly above 40%, moving towards the 50% range. Chapter participation and giving. Success for me after 4 years means that we have increased the number of chapters that we have in the association because we have Hamptonians in many areas that should be in chapters, and we can establish chapters. And also chapters giving back to the university on a regular basis as chapters. And we can do that through some ideas that I have for fundraising at the chapter level. And I'd like to work with the chapters on that. And finally, my third area for my vision was young alumni participation. And what success looks like for me there is the raw number of young alumni participating in the association has increased, but not only the raw number, but the number of young alumni in leadership positions out there in the chapters has increased. In my chapter in Northern Virginia, our treasurer for the last 6 years is a 2013/14 graduate of Hampton University. So I'd like to see that at the end of my 4 years. And I will consider that success for my period of time that I was charged with being responsible to move this association forward. I yield back.
Thank you so much for the articulation of the differentiation between the legacy and success. We appreciate you sharing that. Michelle, same question. What does success look like for you under your leadership over the next 4 years when you look back? And then also, what do you want your legacy to be?
Thank you, Madam Coordinator. Success would be that I have been able to, with a successful leaders behind me, part of my administration, to achieve the concepts of my platform. The platform looks at alumni giving and engagement again, brand restoration, and alumni advocacy for students and recent graduates. If we're able to achieve those goals and those subsets, which also look at transparency, posting our financials, knowing who's on the board of trustees, that's a form of communication, letting everyone be in the know. Also creating a customer service department. Any issues that we may encompass, instead of going to social media to air them, let them be resolved with the customer service department. Also being pushing for the young alums to be engaged from day one, like I already mentioned. I don't want to use the word legacy. I looked at it as being a change agent. And when I say a change agent, as I mentioned before, we're looking at a new university president. We only know President Harvey for 42 years. So we're about to obtain a new president. At the same time, we will have a new president for the association. So walking and making history and leading by example, that's what I would like to be remembered as, if afforded the opportunity to be the next president. I yield back to you, Madam Coordinator.
Those are very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing, Michelle. I have a question now for all of the candidates, and I would like for you to boil this down into 2 words. I know this will be very hard, but in 2 words, can you share what alumni engagement looks like for you? 2 words. We'll start with the office of Vice President. We'll go on to the President of the Eastern Regions, and then we will end with the President's slate. Why don't we start with Glenda? In 2 words, can you share what alumni engagement looks like for you?
Alumni engagement to me looks like increased participation.
Excellent. Good 2 words. April, your thoughts, 2 words. Alumni engagement. What does that look like to you?
I'm going to go back to a previous question. It looks like community and experiences.
Excellent. Wonderful summation in 2 words. I know this is hard. Next, we'll go to the president of the Eastern Regions, Kelly Boyer. What does alumni engagement look like to you in 2 words, please? Vice president of the Eastern Regions, I'm sorry.
Increase donors.
Excellent. All right, and now on to president. Why don't we go to Willie? 2 words. What does engagement look like to you? Alumni engagement. What does that look like in 2 words?
I can't even say good morning in 2 words.
Okay.
Communication and education.
Those are also very strong words. And then we'll end with you, Michelle, in 2 words. What does alumni engagement look like to you?
All in.
Excellent. Those are 2 perfect words to end on. I'm proud of you all. I know that was a curveball question. It's always tough to boil down your answers into 2 very succinct, concise words. So thank you. We do have time for 2 more questions, and here is one. We'll start with the Office of the President for this one. Can you talk about what you think is the biggest challenge facing our alumni and university, and how you plan to manage that? We'll start with Michelle.
The biggest challenge, Madam Coordinator, facing the alumni in the university would have to be response time. If people have an issue when they call the university or they have a question, the turnaround time. And again, that goes back to part of my platform, creating a customer service department whereby people can filter in their questions and we have a definite turnaround time, or just being more responsive to people. If that answer cannot be given within a day or so, let that person know. Don't leave them hanging, and follow through and being held accountable. I yield back to you, Madam Coordinator.
Thank you for that. We've noted response times and holding people accountable and also being responsive. Thank you for sharing that. Willie, what is your perspective on that question? What is the biggest challenge facing our university and our alumni association, and under your leadership, how would you manage that?
So I'll go back to the engagement question and give you the same answers again. Communication and education. And when I say communication, I'm speaking to how we communicate information to alumni at large. We've got our website, we've got the varying social groups on Facebook, the Hampton pages, Hampton in the House, Ogden Circle, and all of those. So how do we communicate in such a way that all our alumni get the information, which includes, from the Alumni Association's perspective, how we set up our communication, but it's equally how well we can work with the Alumni Affairs Office to help them solve the communication issue in their area. And the second one being education. Engagement is going to be a function of education because many of our alumni, based upon some of the issues and questions that come up that I've seen, don't fully understand what the president laid out at the beginning as the role of the Alumni Association. And that is to raise money for Hampton University, to recruit students for Hampton University, and to work with the administration to enhance the Hampton University brand. So we have to educate our alumni on what it is, our role, and then better prepare them to engage and help us to accomplish that mission. I yield back.
Thank you very much. I've noted communication and education, and also as ways to manage that, better communication and more education. So thank you for sharing that. Why don't we go to the Office of First Vice President? Same question. From your perspective, what do you think the biggest challenge facing our University and Alumni Association is? And as First Vice President, how would you manage that? We'll start with Glenda.
One of the largest or biggest challenges that I think faces the university is that parent and student communication. So often interacting with parents here in my state as well as the region, there's been tremendous frustration from parents when they call one office and someone else tells them something different, and they call back again and get different information. And we tell parents now, when you call down there, you need to make sure you know exactly who you were talking to, on what date, what time, what's that person's title, what office was it. So when you call back again, you can repeat that information back. It just creates a tremendous amount of frustration for parents. And I think it leaves a bad taste in their mouth, and it makes parents and our public not happy with the way that some business is conducted at the university. So maybe more meetings at the business level so that the employees that work there can be all on the same page, have specific guidelines that are followed, or handbooks that can have individuals refer back to, so that the same information is given to individuals. And then another challenge, I think, would be the graduation rate. We do have a tremendous amount of students that will apply to Hampton. We do still have a large number of students that will be accepted to Hampton, but something happens over the course of 4 and 5 years. And the numbers of students that are actually graduating from Hampton, those numbers have decreased from when the classes come in. So those are challenges that I think that we need to investigate further, as far as what are the largest, biggest challenges that are facing the university.
Okay,
Thank
you. Thank you. I've noted both of those and appreciate you talking through them. April, same question for you. What is the biggest challenge facing our University and Alumni Association? And as first Vice President, how do you intend to manage through those?
Thank you so much. When you were reading the question, I immediately wrote down what this organization was created and the baseline. Willie touched on that in our original Constitution. Our role is so important, and our role needs to be understood. I think sometimes that's why the frustration comes in, because our main two goals for this organization when it was first founded is to recruit students and raise money. Then thirdly, to work with an administration to help with the Hampton experience. We are not the leaders of the school. That is not our role. I think educating alum on truly what the role of the association is so important. As many of you know, I have served on the administration of 3 great, outstanding presidents of this association. And we continue to come back to this great question. We need to make sure that our alum fully understand that we do not run the university's operations. That is so important, because a lot of the things that parents and students and sometimes even our fellow alum become frustrated and think that the association isn't doing their job. Our job, again, is to recruit students, raise money, and help with the Hampton experience. I think we need to really get that message out there. There is a line. And when we are having twice a year, we have the opportunity to meet with the president and the leadership of the university. That is our opportunity to sit face to face, side by side, elbow to elbow with them, to then express the things that we are hearing. And at times, we have had to do that. I have been involved in two very volatile situations where I was a part of the team that sat down several times with the president and leadership to work through various things that had kind of gotten out of hand in social media. And so, while we don't have the final say on the operations side of the university, we do have a voice, and we want to make sure that our leadership of this association is always at the table. And that is just so important for our alum to understand, that we can't make the decisions of the university, but we can definitely have a voice at the table. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And candidates, we have come to our last question for the evening. I would like for all of you to share your thoughts on this. And it really is around increasing participation, specifically from young alumni. The question is, in the past, NHAA has had town halls and engaged young alumni. What would you do in your respective positions if given the opportunity to increase participation and make things feel different for our young alumni? We will start with the office of the first vice president, or excuse me, no, vice president of the Eastern regions. We'll start with Kelly, and then we'll go to the first vice presidents and then end with presidents. So Kelly, what would you do to engage young alumni, make sure that they're attending all of the forums given to them to participate with NHAA? And how would you increase participation, make things feel different for that group?
Sure, that's also a great question. When I was president of the Northern Virginia chapter, we actually had a very large young alumni base. And one of the, I think the reasons behind that is that I asked the young alumni, what do you want? What can we give you? And let them do what they do. At the time that I took over, we weren't social media based. I had one young alum tell me, her exact words were, I couldn't find you on Twitter. And that's how the young people communicate now. So figure out where they are, where they're hanging out, where they leave, and what it is that they want from the association. Are we using the proper forums for town halls to reach our young alum? We're here now on YouTube. Is this the best way to reach them? And give them opportunities to serve and to have a voice and to network and to connect with other alumni. And I think that's the best way to engage our young alumni.
Thank you very much, Kelly. I've noted, figure out what young alumni want in terms of how they'd like to be communicated with, and then meet them where they are. Very sound answer. Thank you very much for that. All right, we will go to the office of First Vice President, and we will start with Glenda. Glenda, same question for you around engaging young alumni, and what would we do under your leadership to bring them more into the fold and have things feel differently for them?
I'm smiling here. Thank you for the question. My classmate took the words right out of my mouth. I wrote down those exact same words as I was processing while she was talking. Young alumni are just tech savvy. I'm not the technological guru in my family. So the number one thing would be to meet them where they are. How do they communicate? They like to socialize. So create these opportunities for social activities, which would encompass the same goals that we have for the Alumni Association. You can combine socialization with fundraising. You can socialize after a college fair, a networking opportunity, bringing young alumni with our seasoned alumni. These opportunities for socialization and engagement allow us to tap into what a young alumni are needing and wanting. So that would be how we would allow them or encourage them to participate more, and then communicate with them the way that they like to communicate. You know, social media is huge for the younger generation, whereas we didn't quite grow up with those new mediums. But that is how they communicate and share with each other, and the new text language, because that's a whole different language where, I would want to say a smiley face or put the word smile in parentheses. They're putting emojis. So, communicating with them on the level that
All
they
right.
are.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
I've noted that. Meeting them where they are, communicating with them how they like to receive information, and then bridging social opportunities with the needs of the Alumni Association, for example, social and fundraising. Thank you so much for that answer. April, same question for you. What would we do to engage young alumni and have this feel differently for them?
Great question. I think first and foremost, we need, and I'm going to even should on us for a minute, we should always have a position on this board for the young alums. We need young alum representation. Kudos to our current national president, Gina Pemberton. She brought 2 young alum on the board, and it was a whole new experience because, as I said before, she's my 3rd president that I've served under. And having those voices at the table to tell us about how they like to receive information and how they communicate out, you can't even put a value on that. It was just wonderful to hear them talk about the experience. And remember, they have the closest connection to those that will be graduating next. So they can reach not so far back to pull them. When we talk about building up those classes, we have it right there. And so for me, it is to allow them to have those things. With C-suites that we've been doing this year, we've had more young alum participate in that because there are conversations being had during C-suites that they are engaged in. Opportunities for mentoring for them. Professional development, because remember, these are new, young career, new job seekers, all of that. And so being able to provide some mentorships and some professional development and things of that nature, that is one way for us to at least engage them. And once we get them there, we can work on other things. But I think I would have to land on, Madam Moderator, that the importance of having at least 2 young alums sitting on this national board is we I don't even know how to say, we cannot afford not to do that. I am not the president. I'm not running for the presidential position, but I would say to both of them that it is a value that you will not regret if you look at that. And that is a way for us to make this feel different. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you, April. I've noted that it's important for our young alum to have a voice at the table and for them to shape programming focused on their interest. Appreciate you sharing your perspective. Let's go to our 2 candidates for national president. We'll start with Michelle. Same question for you. How would you engage the young alumni, and what would you do in your leadership tenure to make this feel like a different experience for them being engaged and involved with the NHAA?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Well, first, excellent question. My first point that I would do is everyone has a phone. I would get the database of all the young alumni members, send them a simple text. How do you want to receive your information? How do you want to be involved and stuff like that? Short, simple, text them, even a quick survey. They don't want to fill out anything with paper. That's us. But the young alums, they're into that technology. Even have a buddy system whereby a young alum member comes to a chapter meeting, partner them up with someone who's a seasoned chapter member. We have to hear their voice. We have to get them engaged from day one after they cross that stage at our beloved home by the sea. So technology is of great importance to them, getting them involved, and let's hear their voice because they want to be heard. And I know they want to work, and I know they want to help our legacy continue. I yield back to you, Madam Coordinator.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I noted that getting them engaged and keeping them engaged and using the tools that will help them stay engaged. I appreciate your answer. And then our last candidate for President, Willie, would you share your thoughts on that question around having it feel different for young alumni?
Yes, thanks, Madam Moderator. I guess the general comments would be first, as already been stated, let's meet the young alumni where they are in terms of how they communicate and want to be communicated to. We've got to understand their challenges. Our young alum are more focused on getting jobs, paying back student loans, furthering their education, and less likely to be donating to Hampton or thinking of participating in a local chapter and providing opportunities to meet their needs. So specifically, in my administration, most certainly the young alumni positions that currently exist will be continued. That I have observed has been quite beneficial, and we would continue that. I would take it a step further. In addition to having the rep or co-chairs as we had this past year, I would personally like to have them set up a forum where I can meet with them in the form that they would like so that they could go directly one-on-one with me in terms of what are the things that interest them and what are the things that they would like to see from their alumni association. And then finally, when we get to addressing their needs, we got to provide opportunities for them in terms of mentoring. We've got to provide opportunities within our chapters in terms of career assistance. And one of the things that I would like to see is that I know that the Office of Alumni Affairs has a alumni transition program for current students. So in addition to Alumni Affairs speaking with the students currently at Hampton, I would like to see our young alum to be able to go back and connect with them as well. I could go back and talk, but they really wouldn't listen to me. But they would most certainly would listen to someone that had just graduated in the last 5 years. So those are the specific things that I would do to encourage young alumni engagement. And I yield back.
Thank you so much. I noted understanding the challenges and their needs, providing opportunities to meet their needs and interests, and then creating a bridge between recent grads and using that as a mentorship opportunity to come back and talk to them so that they are inspired and they see a way. Thank you so much. I'm going to give each candidate 1 minute to share some final closing remarks. This is your last chance to talk with our audience that has so graciously joined us this evening. So if you don't mind, share some closing remarks and keep it to a minute. We will start with Kelly Boyer.
Thank you. I just want to say to all the Hamptonians out there that I am running for this position because I simply love Hampton University. And I have loved serving on the board in different positions within the alumni. And I like getting out to meet our alumni, kind of be one-on-one like I've done within our region. And that's what I plan to do, because the role of the Eastern Region's Vice President is chapter and member engagement and development. And so I want to continue to spread that Hampton love, of my blue hugs and white kisses to everyone. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve.
Thank you so much. That was your candidate for Vice President of the Eastern Regions, Kelly Boyer. Thank you so much. Now we'll go to the office of First Vice President. We will start with Glenda Gilchrist Pinkett. Closing remarks.
My qualifications, experiences, I have strong people skills. I'm highly motivated to be involved, and I have a very strong desire to make a difference. You know, I love Hampton University. I love our alumni. I want to continue to be involved to encourage membership engagement, fundraising, as well as active participation with student recruitment. When I was the president of the North Atlantic region, we did some very different activities to raise funds and bring alumni together in the region that had never been done before. And they were highly successful. We got a tremendous amount of feedback. So I am asking for your support and your vote for me, Glenda Gilchrist Pinkett, as your first vice president. Thank you
so much. April.
Again, I thank you so much for this opportunity. I would end by saying I am uniquely qualified for this role. I've held various positions on this NHAA board under 3 past presidents. Each of these remarkable leaders made great strides towards the growth goal and created incredible momentum that I promise you I will not let diminish. I have a proven track record of success. I am a dedicated leader, a legacy of service to this, our NHAA Inc., and most importantly, I am a multi-generational connector, from our newest and youngest to our most seasoned. I have connections with all. It would be an honor of a lifetime to serve as your first vice president. I will work to ensure all alums feel an unwavering connection to our glorious Hampton family. And now I'll thank you in advance for your vote for me for your first vice president. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Those you just heard from your candidates for the office of First Vice President. First, you heard from Glenda Gilchrist Pinkett, and last, you heard from April Broadway. Thank you so much. And lastly, let's share closing remarks from the office of President. We will start, ladies first, with Michelle Taylor, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Thank you for this opportunity. It has been a joy being on these panels every other night, it seems, with these great people. But I want to leave you with this point. I am a strong leader, an effective communicator, a change agent, and I'm ready to make history as your next national president of the Hampton Alumni Association. Again, we're looking to bring in a new university president. I'm willing to work diligently, be your voice as the president of the Alumni Association, and I ask for your vote this evening. Please visit me at https://friendsofmichelletaylor.com, and there you can ask me questions and I'll answer you. And also visit my Facebook page, Friends of Michelle Taylor. I yield back to you and thank you again.
Thank you very much. Willie?
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and thank you for this opportunity for me to I will be ready to do the job I have experience at the chapter level, the region level, and at the national level. I've focused on 3 areas that I think we need to enhance: alumni giving participation, chapter participation and giving, and young alumni participation. The common thread of all of those focus areas is participation. As with this election, I ask for your participation in our local chapters, and I ask for you to have a renewed commitment to financially supporting Hampton University, our alma mater, regardless of the outcome of this election. Again, I ask for your support in electing me as your next NHAA president. I have the experience, the temperament, and the commitment to take this organization to the next level. And with your participation and support, together we'll do just that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as a reminder, those were your candidates for the office of president, Michelle Taylor and Willie Williams Jr. Now I'd like to turn it over to our president of the National Hampton Alumni Association, Gina Pemberton.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all of the candidates for taking the time this evening to participate in this town hall. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to attend and listen and learn about each of these candidates in different ways. So I think that this was a very beneficial meeting for us. And I'd like to give an extra special thank you to our moderator, Chandra Turner Jones, for taking the time to walk us all through this, for giving everyone an opportunity to have their answers, for keeping the conversation rolling, and dealing with some of our various technical issues that might have been happening behind the scenes. So thanks for being a class act, and also being my classmate representing for Quintessence 3. But we wouldn't have been able to do this without Chandra, who serves on our board as the co-lead of our public relations and marketing committee. So really appreciative. That's not a word. I really appreciate you taking the time to moderate for us as well. Again, if you want to know more about the candidates or want to follow up on any of their statements and such, you can see the slate of candidates at NHAAinc.org. The slate is there. You have more information now, so please be sure to get your votes in. If you do, when you do receive your paper ballot, you can vote online, but don't worry about having to mail it in. You can't vote twice. And so make sure that you get your votes out there, spread the word to your classmates, your friends, your fraternity brothers, your sorority sisters, all of the people. Let's get everybody in and voting for this, because we want to make sure that the position is filled by the voice of the people. So thank you again to the candidates. Thank you again to our alumni. God bless y'all. Good night.